Oh, hello. Welcome back, folks. Return to glory. Doing another state of here today. Haven't dropped one of these in a while. This one has been planned for a while, but haven't had time recently. But now we have time, all the time in the world, because the world is ending. It's very apocalyptic San Francisco right now. Welcome to the Rayzeum. Everything's deserted. We're all, fighting over toilet paper and what have you. So the end of the world. So what better way to end the world than some filming some shitty YouTube videos. So my name's RayDoomZilla. Welcome to the channel if you haven't been before. This is kind of these videos. These ones are the state of. I've done one for the X-Men. I've done one for Doctor Doom. I'll put some links below for those. So these basically are just me rambling on about a character I love, characters I love, a book I love. So this one has been in the works for a while. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge Wally West fan. Wally West the Flash. So this is what today's episode is going to be about. So first, I just want to say, thanks for people that have been supporting the channel and been asking for more content. So like I said, haven't had time for that. Now we do. We have all the time in the world. So now we're gonna, film some stuff. We have some ideas for some stuff. The channel's not where we want it to be yet. That it takes money, and looks like we're not gonna be having money for a while. So we're gonna still do our thing, and still do our channel on the cheap, and try to provide some fun content for you guys. So I don't. This video is these videos are just me kind of ranting on. Like I just transitioned right there from rant to another subject. So this is basically what these are going to be. I just rant on about a character. Some of it's not going to make any sense if you're not a hardcore nerd, but I just want to try to show my love of a character. Love of a character, love of a storyline, love of a book. So that's what these are. You can also check out our weekly show, the SF Company Hour. Rick and Hondo held down the fort for last episode. It might just be me and Rick this week because we're all quarantined and can't look at each other or talk to each other, and we don't have the ability to Skype it because we're lame and we're cheap. So we don't have that technology yet. But someday we're probably gonna have to do that at some point. So, like I said, we're talking about Wally West. Speaking of the darkest timeline, this is the darkest timeline right now. Somebody went back and fucked it up for us. So, whoever did that, go back. You have to go back and change the timeline. So, speaking of changed timelines, so we have the state of Wally West. Wally West famously was Kid Flash at first. First appearance is Flash 110. Which I own. 110 from 1959, late 1959. This is, there you go. Can you see that? There you go. So in the plastic, so you can't see it. This book is from 1959. Flash number 110 introduces Wally West, the Flash. Basically, Wally West is Iris West's nephew. Iris West is a longtime girlfriend of Barry Allen. So this is she brings her nephew in to meet meet Barry, and Wally's a fanboy. He's a big Flash fanboy, so he's excited to meet the Flash. Barry's identity is not known yet, so he sets up a meeting with the Flash, Barry Allen, and Wally asks him, how did you get your powers? And Barry basically shows him. He puts some chemicals on a shelf, and hey, lightning hits, and then something that doesn't usually happen, lightning strikes twice. The same exact accident happens to Wally, and Wally becomes Kid Flash. And so, I don't really go through much Kid Flash. I'm a fan of Kid Flash, but I didn't really, Wally West has the Flash. That's where I really shine, because no one really actually wrote Wally that great in the comics. He did a run with the Teen Titans, the George Perez, Marv Wolfman run, but it wasn't, didn't really do anything great in that series. And so, he wasn't, he didn't come into his own for a long time. And basically when he came into his own was after Crisis. Crisis on Infinite Earths. Crisis on Infinite Earths, number 12 is where, actually number 8, I believe, was where Barry Allen sacrificed himself and died, saving the universe. And so Wally kind of picks up the mantle from Barry after he dies. And at first it's kind of a rocky start. Wally is, during the Marv Wolfman Teen Titans run, he's kind of depowered. He can only go to like the speed of sound. Like at one point his powers were killing him. So they finally teetered out. He can run the speed of sound. So he was not, Barry can run the speed of light. He's the fastest man alive. So that's what, so that was kind of like the story for the first few years of Wally West and solo series, that he's not the fastest man alive. He's living in the shadow of Barry Allen. He took up his costume, but he's not Barry Allen. Everyone knows it. He feels like a fraud. He's kind of a dick in those early the first like run by Mike Baron and William Misner Loeb. He's kind of a dick. He's not really a character that you're going to root for, but he grows. He grows a lot. And during that time, the William Mesner Loeb run, with art by the Greg LaRocque, is a great run. It kind of like sets the stage for what Wally West is going to be. And he introduces at one point, I believe Flash number 28, Linda Park. Linda Park is probably the most crucial piece of the puzzle for Wally West, because Linda Park is will later become his girlfriend, later his wife, and later the mother of his children. Spoiler alert. So, if you haven't read any of these stories, I'm spoiling all it because no one's going to read this shit, but, you just want to see me ramble on. Linda Park is very important to Wally's storyline and kind of helps him grow as a character. So she's very crucial in all this. And also it's kind of nice to see she's, I believe, part Korean, and this is like in the early 90s where this kind of, Wally's the most whitest ginger-headed kid ever, but it was nice to see like a interracial couple, and no one ever made a big deal of it, but I always thought it was cool that he had a Korean girlfriend. Like it was like something different. You didn't see that too often in comics back then, so it was nice to see. Linda came in during that run. It's some great storylines. It kind of built Wally a little more, but he was kind of a jerk, kind of a prick. So not until Egan finally got his own costume, Flash number 50. He got a shiny new suit, which I think is probably the best Flash suit ever. It's the scarlet and gold, very badass, very Niner colors. So go through that. The William Mesner Loeb run, it's a good run. Some good stuff in there. There's good storylines. What really Wally starts hitting his stride is Flash number 62. That's when Mark Waid comes in. Mark Waid. A famous writer. He's written some great storylines, classic storylines. But Mark Waid's run on the Flash is my favorite run of his. Probably one of my favorite comic runs of all time. Sorry, sipping on some tea. So Mark Waid takes over. The first storyline is Flash Year One. It's basically retelling Wally's origin, kind of modernizing it, kind of like telling it from the modern perspective. So it's kind of like sets some storylines up for the future. So it starts hinting at there's more to the speed powers than just I have speed. That's it. So they're kind of he's starting to lay the groundwork that speed is kind of meaning something more than it is, and that's what you start getting hints of the Speed Force. The Speed Force, of course, is crucial to this last couple of decades of storyline. The Speed Force has been pretty prominent in like the TV show and what have you. So therefore, Mark Waid starts that. So Mark Waid, let me see where we at. I have notes here, of course. I'm reading off them. They look like some ransom thing. So we got Flash Year One. It has some great storylines, and then goes to probably the greatest Flash storyline of all time, the return of Barry Allen. It's in my top favorite storylines of all time. If I meet a friend that reads comics and they like, oh, what do you recommend? Like, what story I need to read? I haven't read yet. The Return of Barry Allen. That's what kind of made me a huge Wally West fan. It kind of made me a fan of speedsters. I always liked super speed as a power, but during that story, I kind of loved it even more because they were just bringing in speed. He was bringing in speedsters from history. Had Max Mercury and Johnny Quick and the original Golden Age Flash, Jay Garrick, and kind of like learn more about these old speedsters and kind of what the Speed Force meant to them and how they access it and how they relate to it. And Max Mercury is kind of philosopher, kind of a Zen master of the Speed Force. He was called in the book. So it's you start learning the philosophy of speed and like what the Speed Force means. So Return of Barry Allen. Barry Allen comes back. This is probably like a few years after he died. Comic Time, probably a few years after he died. So he's back. Everybody's happy at first, and it's Barry Allen's back. Heroes come back all the time. That's kind of what a comic trope. Heroes come back. That's they don't stay dead. So Barry comes back, and it kind of leaves Wally like, what do I do now? Am I the Flash? Am I still the Flash? Am I going to take another identity? What do I do? So he's already like living in Barry's shadow. So now Barry Allen comes back. So what does he do now? Does he carry on? Does he just retire? Does he, because Barry's his hero. He's his god. Barry was here for him. So it was always tough for him to like live in his shadow. So it was like, should I like stop being the Flash? Should I, he was questioning everything. And it was already a time where he was already questioning his existence as a Flash, and always like it wasn't fast enough, wasn't never fast as Barry. So kind of just living in that shadow. And but Barry comes back. It's not exactly all peaches and cream. Barry's back, but he's starting to act weird. He's not acting like the Barry they knew, and you start seeing some flaws and some things that like, wait, maybe this is not Barry Allen. So things start to come unglued, and it gets revealed. Was it 78? Flash 78. Basically, it's revealed that Eobard Thawne, Professor Zoom, came back through time. This is before he started fighting Barry. So he tangled with Wally before he started tangled with Barry, because Professor Zoom's from the 25th century. So very confusing. Yes, time travel and Flash kind of go together. That's one of the main things with the Flash, time travel. So it's kind of confusing. But Eobard comes back because he's also a Barry fanboy. And he wants to, he was so obsessed with Barry, he altered his looks and like read everything up on Barry, and he wanted to go back in time and meet Barry Allen, get his autograph. Super creepy. But he comes back and he kind of forgets who he is, and he thinks he's Barry Allen, but then he realizes he's not Barry Allen. And so Wally pretty much figures it out and like, oh wait, you're not. I know who you are. And in Flash 79, I think this might be the second Flash book I really got into and read. This issue, I remember this issue came in like a Costco pack of like comics, and I was like super intrigued. So I like read the end of the story before I read any other one. So I really started getting into the Flash at this point. So I went back and got all the issues I could afford and find. So Wally finally confronts Zoom, and this is where Wally West kind of grows a sack. He grows balls and just says, you know what, I'm the Flash. I don't need anybody to tell me who I am and what I am. And so basically beats the shit out of Professor Zoom. He gains access to the speed he wants. He becomes faster, which eluded him for a long time. So he beats Zoom, and this is basically when he becomes a Flash. Like, he becomes a Flash in this storyline, Return of Barry Allen. It's a very tragic storyline. He gets the conversation with Max Mercury, another one conversation with Max Mercury will come up in a little bit. But basically, Max Mercury kind of breaking down what the Speed Force is and what speed is, and the inclusion of Johnny Quick, who uses a speed formula for to access the Speed Force. That comes into play in a little bit. So it's very this mythology that Mark Waid sets up the Flash for the next 2 decades. A lot of stuff from the TV show steals from this. A lot of current storylines are taken from this. This is kind of where it all starts, and what kind of turns the Flash from just being just a guy who runs fast, kind of boring, to like some real shit going on with Flash. Like there's some cool shit going on with speed powers, and like you can do some cool shit with the Speed Force. So it sets up a lot of stuff coming up. So yeah, that next few storylines, the great Mark Ruringo is artist, the late great Mike Ruringo. He's a artist on a lot of the storylines. So Flash comes into his own. He starts living to his potential. And there's some great standalone stories in this run right here, where just kind of like just talking about speed. Like the Flash number 91 is a great issue where Flash uses the speed formula and kind of stops time, and he's trying to like save everyone at once. And Max Mercury kind of comes in, another great like philosophical. I can't say it. Philosophical, whatever, you get what I'm saying. And he kind of like breaks down what the Speed Force is and what speed means and what you can do with it. And you can't save everyone, but you have to save the ones you can, but don't let it destroy you. And so it's a great issue, leading to some things in the future. Great stuff with the speed formula and stuff. Just great issue. And so the next big storyline, Wally, with Wally is 0 Hour. 0 Hour, Wally's in it early on. He goes fast. He goes into the Speed Force. He goes missing for a little bit, and that leads into Flash number 0. Flash number 0 is probably considered one of the best standalone Flash storylines, and I've seen it on a few lists. It's a great issue. Wally goes back in time. And there was hints of this like in year 1, I think it was, or a few storylines before that, where Wally has a child, was visited by a family member, and kind of tells him that, hey, things are going to work out. Wally had a tough childhood. His parents were shit. That's why he always like gravitated to his aunt, because his aunt was the only one that actually felt like he cared about him. So yeah, he had a shit family, but Irish. So that was like an influential point in his life, where like somebody told him, hey, this is gonna be okay. It's life sucks right now. Your parents suck, but hey, it's gonna get better. You're gonna do some things. So it kind of like inspires Wally early on, like, hey, I'm destined for something great. And it turns out that was Wally going back to. It's kind of a weird situation, but yeah, it's Wally coming back and talking to himself as a young kid, and just telling, hey, things are going to work out. I know, things suck, but it's going to work out. So it's Wally goes off and comes back. He eventually comes back in Terminal Velocity. Terminal Velocity is the next big storyline. Wally goes, pretty much kind of, it's all the Flashes, all the speedsters trying to stop. It's like stop this organization, Cobra organization, not the G.I. Joe one, but the DC Comics one. And he goes Super Saiyan at one point. So this is when he goes full super speed, and he becomes the fastest man alive. He goes he gets all the speed powers, and he starts getting some new powers, and so he gets powers like he can lend speed to other objects. He can like vibrate through objects and explode them. So he becomes his own. He gets powered up, because he was, like I said, he was speed of sound for the longest time. Now he's like speed of light. I'm full Flash. So he's becoming Wally. And during all this, like I said before, Linda Park is she's the MVP of any of these storylines. She is a great rock. She's a reporter, so it's like kind of like cliche superhero reporter girlfriend. But she really, like, early on called him on his bullshit. Like they didn't start off like romantic right away. This kind of built, and so she's the only one that kind of called him on his bullshit and like kind of kept him humble and like kind of kept him in check. And she was just a good woman to have in his life, and they kind of set him straight. And like I guess that's kind of what you need in life, a good woman or a good whatever to like just make you get your shit together. So Linda Park she's the MVP of this whole run. She's like second, like one of my second favorite characters in the Flash mythos. She's just a great character, underrated for sure, but badass, ready to throw down if she has to. She has, in that Terminal Velocity, she has some great lines. She's a badass in that Terminal Velocity storyline. And so after that, they kind of we got some great artists coming during that the Terminal Velocity. Like you had Salvador LaRocca came in, and then Carlos Pacheco, Salvador LaRocca. After that, Oscar Jimenez, which is probably one of my favorite Flash artists. He's a great Flash artist. Oh yeah, I have some of the books here too. I probably should show them off like while we're talking about all this. Let me just see. Yeah, great storylines. So yeah, Mark Waid's run. So we go to the after Terminal Velocity. The next big storyline was Dead Heat. Oscar Jimenez. Great. Should have been this. Like if I had to pick a storyline to be like a badass movie, this would probably be a great movie. It's Wally versus Savitar, who's basically the god of speed. They tried to do this in the TV show, and they did it horribly. It was horrible. Savitar was a speedster. He gained speed from, like, I think World War I or II, and he's been traveling, trying to get into the Speed Force. And so he comes to modern times. He has a cult that follows him, and they're stealing speedsters, speed, like draining the Speed Force. Everybody's like depowered except for Wally, and so Wally has to, like, it's a fast pace. The art is amazing. It's really just like if they could film this as a movie, it'd be badass. It would just put the Matrix to shame. Such a great storyline. One of the great better storylines for sure. Let's see. You got Dead Heat. Dead Heat was great. After that. So every major storyline, there's always a threat of Wally West, like, disappearing in the Speed Force or dying. Like, every major DC event, there was a threat of Wally West going into the Speed Force and dying. They've been, like, dicking with Wally West fans for, like, so long. So it's real, it's kind of hard being a Wally West fan, because every few months they were, like, threatening to kill him or send him off somewhere or fucking replace him with somebody else. So it was just you kind of got used to it as a Wally West fan. You kind of like, he's probably not going to survive this, or they're going to dick with us, and we'll see what happens. So let's see. So after that, there wasn't. Wade kind of, I don't know if he ran out of ideas, but kind of like lost some steam. The art wasn't as great as it used to be too. Paul Ryan was the artist. I've grown to appreciate Paul Ryan a little bit more, but I just thought he was just kind of too vanilla for the Flash. Flash had just a run of great artists, man, like Oscar Jimenez, Mark Waringo, Salvador LaRocca, Greg LaRoque, Carlos Pacheco, like all these great artists, like very energetic, fun artists, and then it's like Paul Ryan is just this kind of blah. So it kind of like teetered off. I still collected them. I have the whole run of Wally West Flash run from like 1 to like 2 something, whatever it is. But that's like one of the few complete runs I have. But it kind of teetered off a little bit. There were some cool storylines, but wasn't that great. It all culminated with Chain Lightning. It was like kind of bringing all these storylines that Mark Waid had together, and so it didn't really hit that well. It's coming out in collected form, and it's soon. I'm gonna reread it, and maybe I'll like it a little more. But when I remember originally reading it, I was just not fun, not a fun book. Some of these books are great visuals. Like, if you have the Flash, you need great visuals, man, because it's hard to convey proper super speed. There's few artists that can actually do it well, and so if that's why you got that's why a Flash artist is very important. Of course, it's all important. The writing is very important too, but you need great art with the Flash, and I'm trying to find this page. It's amazing. Like so basically. See, there's just great visuals in this storyline, just great speed effects and stuff. So we go to Chain Lightning, kind of disappointed, but it's like, waiting for the next thing. So we go to Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns takes over. Let's see, I forgot what number he takes over. It's like 250 maybe. I'm probably wrong on that, but 240 or something. 240. Sorry, 140. So Jeff Johns, the fanboy's fanboy that Kevin Smith once quoted saying, talking about Jeff Johns. So he takes over. Right off the bat, I'm kind of digging the storylines. He's a big fan of Wally. You can tell he's a fan of Wally West and the characters. Also coming on board, I think that during his second story arc was Scott Collins, which at first I didn't like the art at all. I just wasn't used to it, and then I just grown to love it so much. Like Scott Collins is an amazing artist. I even got I'm gonna pull it down. I'm gonna pull everything down. Oh no! All right, so yeah, last year, was it 2 years ago at the SatCon? I got to meet him, and he was amazing. Here, can you see this? There you go. Yeah, it's Scott Collins, Captain Cold, one of my favorite villains of all time. Scott Collins is a great dude, a really awesome dude. I'm so upset that I doubted him at first, but I grew to really love his art. And so just the combination of Jeff Johns and Scott Collins' art, it was amazing. So such a good book. So the way that Mark Waid kind of developed Linda Park, Wally West, and like the Flash family, like introducing Bart Allen, introducing XS, and bringing Jesse Quick in, all these the Flash family, and kind of developed that. He kind of brought in his own like rogues gallery. He used some of the classic rogues for the most part, but Mark Waid kind of brought in his own guys. So the thing with Jeff Johns' run, his focus was mostly on the rogues, Flash rogues. Flash has some of the best rogues in the business. Very underrated. You have Captain Cold, you have Mirror Master, Trickster, Weather Wizard, Gorilla Grodd, Professor Zoom. Just these great characters. They're like the working man's supervillains. So it was kind of different. They're not insane. They're not insane like Batman's villains. They're not overpowered like Superman's villain. These are all like working slubs that they just want to rob banks, drink beer, watch hockey games. That's just Captain Cold right there. But his focus was on the rogues, and that's kind of what his focus. He developed Wally and Linda great too. But he kind of was building on what Mark Waid did. But what he really shined was the rogues. Rogue stuff was great. The rogue profile issues, like every few issues, he would take a break from the regular storyline and just tell a rogue profile. He did one for Captain Cold and Trickster and Mirror Master and Heatwave, and just these standalone, just kind of like telling the origin of these villains. And so it was great. It's great to see the insight and just kind of like these villains a lot more. And like they're not just standard. Oh, I'm crazy. I'm gonna rob a bank or kill you. No, there's some deep stuff, especially with Captain Cold. So that's some great storylines out of that. One of his first big crossovers was Crossfire. Crossfire was a great storyline, dealing with the Tinker and a new set of rogues, kind of like a new formation of the rogues. And so it's kind of going back, fighting. So Flash, Barry Allen's city was Central City. Jay Garrick's city was Keystone City, which are like they got retconned into being like sister cities once they merged the universes. Look up Crisis. So they finally. So basically, Central City was like the white collar like folks, and Keystone is the blue collar, like kind of like the working the schlubs are all in Keystone. And so Wally was more on the Keystone side. He kind of was more hung out on that side. So this threat, the Crossfire, was like the Tinker's on one side dealing with a big ass event Crisis, and the other side he's dealing with the new rogues. And it's just a great storyline. A very fast pace. This is some great stuff coming out. Like Wally's just going through hell, and it really takes a lot, and it really it's just a great storyline. It just Wally's just everything's going wrong, and it's basically he's John McClane in it right now, just going through hell. Just some great art. This is where I really fell in love with Scott Collins' art right here. Great splash pages, great use of speed and everything. It's a great storyline, great Wally West storyline. It's very heartfelt and it's very badass. And we'll probably make another great movie. So we're continuing on. After that, you get some more rogue profiles and what have you. The next like big event in Wally West's life is Blitz. Blitz is basically the creation of a new Zoom, Professor Zoom. Well, he just calls himself Zoom. He started off as a criminal profiler, Hunter Zolomon. He's like Wally's friend. They're like working on cases. He has a tragic past. He wants Wally to go back in time and change the past. And Wally's like, no, every time you go back in time and change the past, you fuck something up. It makes it worse. I can't do it. I won't do it. And he kind of starts to resent Wally, and he decides, he's going to get the cosmic treadmill. For those who don't know, the cosmic treadmill was a device that Barry Allen used to use in the Silver Age to time travel. So basically it was a treadmill that he would run instead of, 10,000 BC, and he'd run and use the speed and go back in time. So he gets on the cosmic treadmill in a wheelchair, no less, because he was paralyzed, and that's kind of part of the reason he wants to change the timeline. So he goes back. He tries to use the cosmic treadmill, blows up in his face. He becomes Zoom. Kind of a different take on super speed. He kind of lives outside of time, so he moves really fast. It's very tragic at this point. Linda's pregnant. She's just revealed she's pregnant, and he snaps. Zoom had a thing where he snapped his finger and kind of creates a sonic boom, and she loses the kids. It's very sad, and especially when you like growing up with these characters, you feel like they're part of your family, and Linda loses the kids, and it was it's very sad, very fucked up, but it's not the end of this story. I'll talk more about it in a little bit. It's a great battle. It's very this tears. It tears Wally up for sure. This is definitely one of those tragic storylines. He comes out on top, but still, you lose a child like that. You still lose. No matter how much you win, you still lose. So very tragic. Start hinting. So here, this is where you start hinting at Barry Allen coming back. The mandate for DC Universe was these. Dan Didio. I'm going to probably talk more about Dan Didio in a little bit, but it's. I've always said Barry Allen. Barry Allen's a great character, but he's better dead than alive, in my opinion. And so there was a mandate for DC. They wanted to bring all these Silver Age characters back, like Hal Jordan and Barry Allen. At the detriment of some of these characters that people are starting to like, really, like Kyle Rayner, great character, but they kind of like pushed him to the side. They wanted to bring back Hal Jordan, and I understand that a lot of people recognize those characters, but the thing with Wally West, like Wally West has been like been the Flash for so long. Even in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, he was the Flash. Wally West was the Flash, and a lot of people know the Flash from that cartoon, and a lot of people's Flash is Wally West. So. It was just a mandate coming down. They kind of started pushing them back a little bit. Let's see. Well, here. Let's talk one more about. We can skip that one. So John's run comes in, and it's called Rogue War. Is his last storyline. Rogue War is art by the great Howard Porter. Great speed drawer. He's a big Flash fan too. So Rogue War, pretty much a combination of all Jeff Johns' Flash run. Zoom is back. He's teaming up with Professor Zoom. Barry comes back. Barry last kind of a team up with Barry. This is like more of the hints of Barry coming back. So the best. This is a great combination. It's all the rogues that he fought, all fighting each other, and he has got to fight Professor Zoom with Zoom, and Barry Allen's in. It's a crazy storyline, but it all makes sense with this storyline. And the best thing about this, they pretty much fixed what happened to Linda, and they fix what happened with the kids. So Linda goes right into childbirth, and she gives birth to twins, Irie and Jay. So kind of parallel to Barry Allen and Iris, they had twins. And sorry to go back a little bit, but one of the after Dead Heat, one of the storylines was Wally going back in time, and he met Don and Don, the Tornado twins, in the 30th century, because this is very, very confusing. So Iris West was from the future, 30th century, and when Flash ended in the 80s before Crisis, he went to the future to live out their days, and they had a couple kids, Don and Don Allen, the Tornado twins. So and their one of their kids is Impulse. Who later became Kid Flash, Bart Allen. So yeah, it's all very confusing. Flash is, it's a very confusing. The time travel, it's like I said, time travel is a fucking crazy bit. So sorry to go off on that, but okay. So going back, so Irie and Iris, Irie and Jay, they have twins. So and after that, it kind of teetered off again. Like Mark Waid came back for a little bit. Nothing really a non-eventful book. You could kind of tell that they weren't trying with Wally right now, because this is like the time where they're trying to push Barry coming back. Barry comes back. Final Crisis, Grant Morrison's Final Crisis. It's a very confusing storyline. Every time I try to read that storyline every couple of years, it still fucking confuses the shit out of me. But Barry comes back. Him and Wally kind of team up. So Barry's back. You get kind of sense like Wally's getting pushed to the side. Jeff Johns writes Flash Rebirth, kind of what finally brings Barry all the way back to being the Flash. But it's actually great. Flash Rebirth is a great storyline. It's kind of like it's a good ending for Wally, like because they let Wally shine in this. They don't just say, "Oh, Wally, you're just a background character." He actually contributes to the storyline. Actually, is actually the main proponents of this storyline, and kind of is one of the heroes of the storyline. So it's I can see why they brought Barry back, but I wish they kind of like there was room for all these Flashes. They didn't need to put Wally into the back burner, and they kind of did. And it kind of sucks because it's just a great character, and they kind of just said "F you" and let's give him the fucking hoist. So after this, so Flash Rebirth, that was kind of the end of it for a minute. Yeah, and then let me see, where are we at? Yeah. So you tell Johns is a big Wally fan. He treats him right in this. He's the one at DC that knows Wally West and knows the fans, and they know that that Wally's a great character. So Jeff Johns, he's just a great run. Second only to the Mark Waid's run. Like if you take Mark Waid's run, you couldn't have Jeff Johns' run. So it built a lot off our Mark Waid's run. So it's a great run, second best Wally West run of the Flash. Yeah, I got a lot of notes here, guys. I got a lot of notes. This is gonna be a long video, so if you stuck out this long, I appreciate it. So hopefully you're getting some kind of education, kind of what the Wally West is and why he's such a great character. All right, so I've been talking a lot, so I'm sorry my voice is going already. Being stuck home is very tragic. All right. So hold on. Oh, there you go. Sorry, I have so many notes. All right, so Flashpoint happens. Flashpoint is Barry Allen. He goes back to try to save his mother. Kind of fucks up the timeline. Everything goes bad. So that's when you get the New 52. And New 52 kind of wiped everything clean. Kind of rebooted everything. Started from scratch. And Wally West was nowhere to be found. He was gone. They didn't explain to him. Didn't have like a send off, like a good last storyline for him. Just like no, all the characters you like and love, all these like some of these obscure characters, they're gone. And they try to bring some of them back. They brought in Wally West, new Wally West, Kid Flash, but he just didn't. He wasn't Wally West. He didn't act like him. He didn't look like him. They made him a black gentleman, which is fine and all, but that didn't. He didn't act like Wally West. That was the main issue. Like Wally is a Midwestern redheaded white kid. That's not saying that you can't be the same black kid, but it just didn't seem Wally. That wasn't the Wally. Sorry, yeah, decent character, but just didn't feel like Wally. Wasn't Wally to me. So DC Universe Rebirth happens. Great. Like the day I found out about what the spoilers in this book, I lost my shit. So I was so happy. This is basically this is Jeff Johns again. Jeff Johns fixing everything that people fuck up. So Jeff Johns, this storyline is basically there's something wrong with the timeline, and people are it's kind of involving Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen universe. Is very, very convoluted for sure. But one of the things is one of the things that it's coming back from the old universe is Wally West. He's trying to make his way back. He's like stuck through the time stream or Speed Force, whatever. And it's basically Wally's journey back and trying to get back. And because people don't remember him, they don't remember who he is. He's confronting all these people, trying to, hey, I'm Wally, don't you? Even Linda doesn't remember him. And that's probably the most tragic part of this whole thing. Like Linda is doesn't remember him, so he's getting pulled away. He's kind of getting sucked away like his Barry did in Crisis. But he finally sees Barry, and just it's a very emotional scene. Barry, Wally's fading away, and he's thanking Barry for being there, and sorry he doesn't remember him, but he's telling him goodbye, and then something clicks and Barry remembers him, and he fucking pulls him back in from the fucking Speed Force, and it's just a beautiful moment, and the best one of the best bro hugs in comic book history right there. Wally West is back. I almost teared up when this happened. I was just so excited to see Wally West is back. it felt like it wasn't going to happen. I kind of almost gave up on the character, like they're never going to bring him back. So I was so juiced to see this happen. I was like, okay, cool. They brought Wally back, and they brought him back not as like some new character. They brought him back as the Flash. He's the Flash. So where's the first image they brought out for him? I was juiced. Let's see if they have it in here. So they don't. Well, I guess not. So Wally's back. It's a huge thing. I'm fucking super excited about this. He has a new suit, which I actually dig. I actually really like his new suit. It's kind of a blend of all his suits, like kind of the animated, his Kid Flash, his the '90s one. So it's kind of a combination of all that. And I kind of like that they didn't say, "Oh, you're a new character. You're still the Flash." There's room for more Flash. There's a billion Green Lanterns out there. There's a bunch of guys called Batman. There's a bunch of Supermans. Like, why can't there be multiple Flashes? And there's a character, and it's a character that people love. It's one thing if no one gave a shit about this character, you don't need another Flash. But people actually like this character. So, Wally West is back. We do a run of Dan Abnett, Brett Booth. They do a run on Titans, most of the original Titans. Wally West is a part of it. It's okay. Kind of Wally West, kind of like trying to get back his life and kind of reacquaint himself with his friends and trying to get back with Linda, but Linda doesn't remember him. Then remembers him. It's a very. They're putting Wally through the ringer, and they kind of gave him a heart murmur at one point. They're dicking with Wally. That's kind of what I'm used to. I'm used to people fucking with Wally West, and it's kind of been I've been a Wally West fan, man. I feel like I've been through the ringer a few times too. So, so we get to that point. So Wally West is still lingering. Joshua Williamson is doing a run on Flash, which is really good. He's probably the only decent thing DC's putting out right now. DC's been kind of on my shit list recently because of this stuff. So Joshua, he's a big Flash fan. You can tell he's a big fan of Wally and the history of all the speedsters. There's a lot of callbacks to like the Mark Waid and Jeff Johns run during his Flash run. So there's some good storylines in there. This all kind of culminates to Flash War. Flash War came out, I guess, last year. Flash War is pretty much Wally wanting to find his kids and like set things right because this is fucked up. The main thing, he lost his kids. He wants his kids back. So it kind of puts him in conflict with Barry Allen, and so Barry and Wally kind of get into it and kind of have a battle race that kind of almost like destroys everything. Like they're so fast and they're battling so hard that they almost destroy reality. And it's actually a really good storyline. I really dig this, and it finally answers the question that every Flash fan has debated for like years: who is the fastest Flash? Wally West is the fastest Flash, all right? Wally West is the fastest Flash, and it's kind of been hinted at, but no one's actually spoken the words. And actually spoke to Scott Collins at a convention, and they did a splash. He kind of gave me a little bit of spoilers about what was happening. I guess in the DC Universe magazine, they did a chart of all the fastest people in the DC Universe. And I asked him, I was like, who's the fastest? Who's the fastest? He's like Wally. Wally's the fastest man alive. I was like, yes, he is. He is the fastest man alive. Like Barry was better at the scientific side of the speed. He could definitely use the speed in a very scientific manner, but just pure speed, Wally West is the man. So it finally got that debate settled. And of course, when you got that debate settled, Wally West goes and murders a bunch of people and tries to cover it up. So this is where this is where you're going to get me pissed off. And this is where kind of the state of Wally is right now. So Wally West, during Heroes in... So after Flash War, he goes... he's going through some PTSD, losing his family, going through all the tragedy. And so they put him in this thing called the Sanctuary. So this has been kind of built up over the past year before this storyline kind of... This is where the heroes go that have trauma. They have emotional trauma. They go to the Sanctuary and they kind of record their feelings and try to get through their emotions. And so this Heroes in Crisis, written by Tom King, basically it's a mystery about who did this. A bunch of heroes die at the Sanctuary, including Wally West. But then it's later revealed it was Wally West. Wally West took himself from another timeline and killed himself and brought him back in time. It was basically an accident. He unleashed the Speed Force by accident and killed a bunch of people. And so and that would be one thing if it was an accident, he killed a bunch of people. That happens to heroes. But the thing that really irked me and that was out of character is that he tried to cover it up. He tried to like manipulate things, try to like frame a couple other people. Wally West wouldn't do that. He would take responsibility for that. So it was written out of character. It didn't make any sense for the character, and it was universally just hated. People really love Tom King. After this storyline, people turned their back, including me. I was a big Tom King fan. I liked Vision, his Marvel work on Vision. Probably the first half of Batman kind of teetered off for me on that one, but. It just out of character. Like Wally would not first of all, he killed a bunch of people. That's tragic, but he would own up to it. He wouldn't just try to cover it up, try to frame somebody else, and go back and murder him. It didn't make any sense for the character. So it just kind of pissed me off. What are you doing? This doesn't make any sense for the character. It's one thing, yeah. So it's just basically been. Shit on by fans have been shit on by with this character, and the man I put some blame on Tom King. The man I want to blame for most of this shit that happens to Wally West is Dan Didio. Dan Didio, who famously just got the boot and was the happiest. The only good thing that happened this year was Dan Didio getting the boot from DC Comics, because he just had some shit ideas, man. He just had these shit ideas about characters, and he just didn't like Wally West. He doesn't like these second generation characters. He's been wanting to kill Nightwing off, and he didn't get why people like Nightwing. He just didn't like these second generation characters, third generation characters. He just wanted the Silver Age, Golden Age Silver Age characters, which it's cool to have that fandom and want those kind of things, but I don't know. He pissed me off so much. He just didn't understand the character. He just wanted to shit on fans and wanted to just troll. He's basically been trolling fans for the past 20 years with Wally West. And you guys like this character? I'm gonna put him through shit just to fuck with you guys. So yeah, Dan Didio, I've never been a big fan of him. I think I think he set DC back for a long time. Jeff Johns needs to be the guy there. He needs to I love Jim Lee and all too, but he's got that Wildstorm mentality. He does not need to be in charge of DC. Dan Didio, I'm glad he's gone. Jeff Johns needs to be the editor-in-chief there. He needs to be, because he's the only guy that understands what these comics are and what these comics mean to people. So he needs to be in charge of this. So sorry to go on a Dan Didio rant, but it could be a lot worse. I could be a lot more cursing right now. But so the Heroes in Crisis happens. So after that, Scott Lobdell and Brett Booth do a Flash Forward. Flash Forward came out last year, 6-issue limited series. Basically, kind of trying to redeeming Wally West. He escapes. He was in jail and he gets broken out. So basically, it's just him going through the multiverse. Basically, he's been tasked to fix the multiverse. So the big storyline right now is Dr. Manhattan manipulated the multiverse, what have you. So Wally's going to be the guy to fix it. But one of the things he was still trying to do during running through the multiverse is trying to find his kids. That's been basically his storyline for the last few years, trying to find his kids. And so I like a lot of this storyline. The art's great. Brett Booth. A lot of people shit on Brett Booth, but I think he's a great artist, a great speed artist. The story it's actually some great issues. I really enjoyed the storyline. I liked everything up to the end, unless time will tell on if I like this ending or not. So basically, the ending is Wally gets his kids back. He finds his kids, but the guy who sent him on this task to fix the multiverse has another task for him. They basically want him to be the guy, a new god, to fix the multiverse. If you guys know New Gods, Metron had the Mobius chair, and basically he's like a god, pretty much. And so Flash has now taken Wally West has now taken over the Mobius chair. It's very confusing. He has a new blue suit. He has the Eye of Dr. Manhattan now. So basically he made a deal. It's like, I'll bring back my kids. Bring my kids back. I'll do whatever the hell you want. And that's the kind of that's who Wally is, man. He's not a guy to cover up and try to murder people. No, he would sacrifice himself for the greater good. And basically that's what he does here. And just the scene just makes me so happy. Like, the kids are back with Linda Park, and that makes me so fucking happy, man. Just seeing them kids back together, because it's like almost, it feels like my family. Like, I feel like my family's torn apart. But just to see them back. So Wally, he has he's like, I don't know, he's like Dr. Manhattan in the Mobius chair. He's got the, I don't know. So this is building to Generation Zero. I guess it's, I'm not sure if it's a free comic book day, if we do have a free comic book day. So this is kind of building to that. Last 2 weeks ago, 750 came out. Got that cool Gabriel Dell'Otto 80s variant cover right there. Got to go with the 80s. So this has some hints for like some upcoming storylines, and it kind of has some stuff with Wally at the end, kind of reiterating what happened in Flash Forward, like what's the situation now. So it's basically they're gonna try to fix the timeline and kind of set things right. So if they do this and they fix Wally, because I can't see this being his status quo for the rest of the run. I think somebody's going to come in and kind of fix and retcon what happened at Sanctuary and Heroes in Crisis, because nobody liked that. No one thought that was a good idea, except for Dan Didio and Tom King. So I think they need to go back, retcon that. They're going to fix the timeline. Once they do all that, I think there's a place for Wally West as the Flash. I don't know if I want to see him as another character. He's the Flash to me, so I think he should just be the Flash. There's another Flash out there. Do another book. Just call it the Speed Force, or call it Flash Family, whatever. Just Flash raising his kids. Throw Bart in there and just have a whole family of speedsters. Man, it'd be great. Get the right artist, right writer on there, and I'd be down, man. I wouldn't mind seeing Jeff Johns come back with Scott Collins or Howard Porter and just do a run on that. That'd be great, because clearly only they can come back and write it. So it's time will tell what they do with Wally. I'm curious. I hope they don't fuck this up, because Wally West is a great character. So I show you this. Yeah, I have a Flash tattoo. I love the Flash. Well, that's from the Terminal Velocity storyline. I love the Flash. I love Wally West. I love the whole mythos, the Speed Force, all this. This is my Wally West shirt right there. So he's a great character, and if you get a chance to go back and read some of those Mark Waid runs, are great. Like I said, the Mike Baron run is being re-released. It looks like more and more Flash stuff is getting re-released, so that's good. You can buy them digital. I have the whole. I have the full first 100 issues on digital too, so that's how much of a dork I am for sure. So I hope for the best for this character. It's a great character, and he's underrated for sure. It's just a great. You got to grow with this character. You got to see him be a dick at first, and when you're young, everybody's a dick when you're young. And so he went through some shit, and he got his shit together, and he met a good woman. And he got his life together and started a family and became a badass fucking superhero, man. He had great runs in Grant Morrison's JLA, man. He was written great right there. And when he showed up in Justice League International, he was still kind of a dick during that time. So that's where they kind of got why Wally was kind of a dick and the funny guy in the Justice League Unlimited, because it's kind of during that run. So it's a great character. I would hope to see him done right on the big screen at some point. I think that he's going to show up Titan season 3. I heard rumors about that. I think it's going to be the Ginger West. It's a great character. If you please check him out. If you read only a couple storylines, read The Return of Barry Allen. Great storyline. Terminal Velocity, Dead Heat, Crossfire, Blitz, Rogue War, Flash Rebirth. Flash War, those storylines, you get a good arc of who Wally West is. But just a great run of stories. I want to see more. I want to see the character appreciated like I do. So we'll see one day. But that's that's it. That's my rant of I probably could go 20 more minutes on this, but there's so many things I could talk about Wally West. Just great character, cool looking character. Just a great runs all around. So cool. Thanks for if you watch this long, you better be a Wally West fan at this point, because that's a lot of Wally West. I think I said we should do a count how many times I said Wally West. Great character. Check him out. Look for more stuff on the channel. We have some time now. We're hopefully drop a top 10 maybe next couple days. Very appropriate for this time we're doing. Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this video and distracts you from all the bullshit that's going on right now. If you watch this long, you really have nothing to do. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks to Rick, my exec, my engineer, co-producer extraordinaire, and Hondo and all the cats that support the channel, all the folks that support the channel. It's good. Times are tough right now. Go to folks' Patreons if you can, of comic shops right now, and try to contact your comic book retailers and see how you can get your books or how you can support their shops. You want to keep these comic book shops open. It's going to be a bad time for a lot of folks. So if you get a chance, please support them in any way you can. Try to get your books anyway. They're doing at door service and stuff. Try to set something up so you get your books and keep them in business, because if we don't have comic shops, man, that's it's going to suck for a lot. That would be the real tragedy of this whole thing. And so yeah, wash your hands and watch your butts, and hey, look out for more videos, and may the Speed Force be with you.